My job is to move you to the front of the line. You need to pay yourself first.
In today's episode, Courtney and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Tom Hegna. Tom is an economist, author, and the go-to retirement income expert in the industry. We dive into the current state of the economy and what you, the advisor, should be telling your customer what's going on. We also dive into where you, the advisor, may be missing the boat in planning for your own retirement. We're going to be talking about Tom's new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and what it takes to grow true wealth, the secret to success. And lastly, we're going to end with why everyone should have some type of guaranteed income in their retirement portfolio. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and we have got a special guest today, Tom Hegna. Tom, how are you?
Hey, doing great. I'm out here in Flagstaff, Arizona, where it's 78 and sunny.
We're jealous.
I'm just a little envious, just a little. Well, Tom, thank you so much for your time today. Let's go ahead and get right into this. So you're a best-selling author. You're an economist. You are the go-to retirement expert in the United States, possibly in the world. So I want to start off with right now, I would imagine financial advisors, risk advisors listening to this are getting questions asked from their customers. What is going on with the current state of economy and what should we be doing? So I would love to know your opinion on what advisors should be telling their customers.
I mean, it's really uncertain times because you would think the market would not be as good as what the market is doing. Because I mean, the Fed's been raising interest rates, and I think they're going to keep raising interest rates. Now the Treasury after the debt ceiling, they're gonna issue $1 trillion of bonds, which is going to suck $1 trillion of liquidity out of the market. That's why the Fed did a pause or a skip instead of raising again. And so really, the stock market should be falling. It's been going up. But it's really, 7 major companies that have done 90% of the upside in the market. So I guess right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to stay fairly liquid. And now you can get paid to stay liquid because you can get money market funds that are paying 4 and 5%. So that is not a bad place to be right now when things are uncertain, ready to take advantage. But there are some good opportunities out there. There's some preferred stocks. There's some dividend paying stocks that are good value that you get paid to wait. So I would go to places where you get paid to wait if you're going to be in the market. But I don't see why people necessarily have to be in it right now. Be in the money market fund, let the market come back. Then you can put some money in the market if you're a market-based person. But retirees, should have some guarantees in their portfolio.
Absolutely. So cash is no longer trash, I guess. So go ahead. No,
it's correct. And that, in 2016, I wrote an article. I said the 60-40 portfolio is dead. Long live life insurance and annuities. And at the time, bonds were paying 1%. And I said it made no sense at all to have 40% of your portfolio in a bond portfolio paying 1%, because what happens is when interest rates go up, what happens to the value of bonds? They go down. Well, those bonds now, those 1% bonds, they've gone down 80%. Now, that's the safest investment in the world, U.S. government bond. They're down 80%. And that's why these banks failed. It wasn't because they were in risky investments. They weren't. They were in U.S. government bonds, but they bought them at 1%. And when interest rates go to 5%, those 1% bonds go down 80%. And so that was the problem. And I said it made no sense to have 40% of your portfolio in bonds when they're paying 1%. Put that money into cash value life insurance or annuities, because when interest rates go up, those things don't go down. Those things keep going up too. So anyway, that turned out to be very true. And I hope people followed that back in 2016.
Yeah, I've been following you for a long time, and you've been 100% basically spot on with everything you've been saying since I've been following you since 2014. And I know the bond market typically tells us what the economy is going to do and things of that nature, which I assume is exactly what you're telling us right now. So,
yeah, but right now the bond market is in total opposite with the stock market. The stock market thinks things are going great, and the bond market, because see, if things were going to go great and everything was going to go fantastic, the 30-year government bond would maybe be at 6 or 7 or 8%, but the 30-year bond is lower than the 10-year bond, and so the bond market is telling you that we're going to have this little spike in interest rates, and then interest rates are going to come back down again. We'll see who's going to be right here.
So help me understand this. If I'm an insurance agent and I'm talking to my customer and I'm talking about life insurance or annuities, how do I explain this to the everyday consumer on what direction to go and why they should be going that direction?
Well, what I would do is I always tell people, you cannot convince somebody who doesn't believe in life insurance or somebody who doesn't believe in annuities. You can't convince them to buy life insurance and annuities. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I say what you have to do is you have to build a case with disinterested third-party articles. So what I would do, Courtney, is I would get a copy of the Ernst & Young white paper that looked for the overall most optimal retirement plan. And they first tried 100% stock, and then they went 90% stock, 10% bond, 80-20, 70-30, 60-40, 50-50. Then they went back and they added a little bit of whole life insurance and a little bit of an income annuity. And they found that the best portfolio for a retiree would be 30% whole life, 30% income annuity, 40% investments. Now, that's not me saying that. That's not you saying that. That's not the advisor. That's Ernst & Young, one of the top accounting firms. And then I would lay on top of that some of the work of Dr. David Babler, Dr. Moshe Milevsky, or Dr. Wade Fowler, Dr. Michael Finke. You can put enough third-party materials in front of somebody where they have to say, holy cow, my part of putting money into life insurance or annuities, that Forbes magazine picked up my article and they put it in there. So like you got Forbes, you got disinterested third-party people who are not going to get paid whether they buy or not. And what they say weighs more than what the advisor says, because the advisor gets paid if they buy, they don't get paid if they don't buy. And that's a conflict of interest that the client, is judging in their mind.
Can you repeat that breakdown one more time of the Ernst & Young? What 30, 40, 30, is that what it was?
No, it's 30% whole life, 30% income annuity, 40% investments. But you can get the whole white paper. Just Google Ernst & Young, insurance, investments, annuities, it'll pop up. And I carry that with me. I used to carry a playbook with me, just a little binder that had really powerful articles and third-party pieces in there. And when somebody said, well, I don't believe in this, I said, well, let me share with you. There's Dr. Michael Finke, one of the smartest PhDs in the world who studies retirement. Here's what he says. And here's what Dr. Wade Pfau says. And here's what Dr. David Babel says. And here's what Dr. Moshe Milevsky said. I build a case where by the time I'm done, they go, holy crap, I guess I need to do this. It wasn't me saying it. I was just showing them all the third-party material that's out there.
Third-party validation. I love that. I want to go into, so now we're building a case for our customers. Where are you seeing financial advisors missing the mark on their own investments?
Well, I always say in order to sell a large policy, you better own a large policy. If you want to sell a $5 million policy, why don't you own a $5 million policy? If you want to sell annuities, I own 11 annuities. I don't sell annuities. My annual premium on my whole life policy is $226,000 a year. So I'm serious about this stuff. And for people who think that's crazy, when you learn about whole life, that it's an asset on your books, it's not an expense. I'm not throwing $226,000. I'm putting it in a place that is growing and then it earns dividends. I get all that money back plus more, and I can take it all back tax free, and that's pretty powerful. So I'm trying with the debt situation and the unfunded obligations. Taxes are going to have to go up a lot. Like, people have no idea how far taxes are going to go up, and you got all these people still with money in 401ks. I was playing golf the other day with a guy, and he said, "I got $1 million in my 401k." I said, "Great." I said, "How much of that is yours?" And he looked at me and said, "What do you mean? It's all mine." I said, "No, it's not. You're just a partner, and you're the limited partner. The general partner is the U.S. government. They get to take their cut first, and you have no idea how much they're going to take." So like, if I was an agent, what I would do is I would ask the client, does your company have a 401k? Yes. Does it offer a match? Yes. What does the match look like? Well, if I put in 4%, they match it with 4%. Good. I would do that. That's 100% rate of return. But anything above the match, I wouldn't put a penny of that in a 401k. I'd either put that in Roth IRA or cash value life insurance, because I want to be building up tax-free money, not tax liability money for my future.
Absolutely. So you just hit on a really great point I want to kind of dive into. And because right now we've kind of talked general audiences. So I want to go down to maybe like your 25 to 40 year olds. All right. Those folks that need to start saving. Hopefully they are saving, but they get in their careers, they start making a little bit of money. They want to be millionaires one day. All right. What advice are you going to give to them that they have really good risk tolerances because they've got time on their side? They can be fairly aggressive. Where are you recommending those folks put their money?
Well, what's interesting is I have a book coming out this week on who wants to be a millionaire. So this is my first foray. I've spent all my time with baby boomers, people in or near retirement, how to retire the optimal way. That's where I spent my entire career. But, I got kids too, and I've tried to help my kids put themselves on a path to becoming wealthy. And so there are some simple principles that I've shared with my kids, and I put in the book on how people can, I think, quite simply in America today, become a millionaire. I believe almost every American can become a millionaire if they want to. Now, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's like golf is a simple game. Center of the fairway, center of the green, 2 putts. Very simple, but it's not easy. And becoming a millionaire is very simple. I can show them all the steps that they need, but it's not easy. So it takes some discipline. It takes some delayed gratification, and not just, you got so many couples out there now that have $1,000 car payments. Both of them have $1,000 car payment. They will never become wealthy. And so what happens is too many people are trying to look wealthy instead of become wealthy. And I'm just so glad I didn't have that gene where I had to wear certain clothes or have a certain car or have certain furniture, whatever. I don't know what people spend all their money on, but I never had that gene in me. Okay. And I drove nice cars, but I bought them used. We went on nice vacations, but we didn't necessarily stay at the Ritz-Carlton every time. So we took steps when we were young in our life to always live below our means. And that's the only way you'll get wealthy, is if you live below your means. You got to spend less than what you make. That's number one. It's not really about what you put it in. You can put it in almost anything as long as you're putting money away all the time regularly and paying yourself first. You'll become wealthy whether you use Bitcoin, real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever, annuities, life insurance. You can become wealthy a million different ways, but you've got to put the principles into place and have the discipline to save and invest. That's you got to spend less than what you make.
I always say, don't go broke trying to look cool. So you said pay yourself first. I want to dive into that. So somebody that's listening and they're like, okay, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. How would I start paying myself first? What's my next step?
So here's the deal. I would go out on appointments, and I'd pull up to this guy's house, and they'd have 2 nice cars, a pickup truck, a jet ski, an RV, a satellite dish on the roof. And I get in there and I do my presentation. They say, well, man, we just don't have any money. We're broke. We don't have any money. And I say, okay, here's the problem. You're standing at the end of the line. You're paying the insurance company, you're paying the car dealer, you're paying the boat dealer, you're paying the RV, you're paying all these people, and you're at the end of the line. There's nothing. My job is to move you to the front of the line. You need to pay yourself first. And then we need to get rid of some of this stuff. And this was before Craigslist or any digital. I would write the for sale ads that they would have to put in the paper. I know that you guys don't remember this, but when you wanted to sell stuff, you had to go down to the paper and you had to take out an ad to sell stuff, okay? And I made them take out ads. I wrote the ads for them to sell the RV, to sell the boat, to sell the jet ski, so that they would have enough money to pay themselves first and put this $100 or $150 a month away into life insurance or mutual funds or whatever we're talking about, because people are putting their priorities in the wrong spot. The way you get wealthy is by putting your money into appreciating assets. Most people are putting their money into depreciating assets. Cars go down in value every day. RVs go down in value. Boats, jet skis, they all go down in value. I'm not saying they're not fun. I owned a boat for about 10 years. But you know what? Here's a true story. I bought the boat used. We drove it for 10 years. The engine froze up here in Flagstick because we had an early freeze, had to put a new motor in there. That was $6,000. So I had it for 10 years, drove the boat, got a new motor. And when I sold it, I made about $1,000 on the whole deal. It's crazy, but that's the way I do business. I don't want to put my money into depreciating assets.
Yeah.
So let's review what are appreciating assets. You briefly touched on like real estate, Bitcoin. I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on appreciating.
Stocks, commodities, things that go up in value over time, annuities, life insurance, those would all be things that go, you want to put your money in places that will grow. A bank account, a money market fund right now that earns 5%, it's not a bad place to have some money. So places that go up in value over time, clothes, handbags, shoes, boats, RVs, jet skis, they all go down in value every single day. And they're all a little bit important, but you don't want to put the majority of your wealth there. You want to put the majority of your wealth into things that go up in value.
Okay, that's great. And I have a follow-up question too with life insurance. So right now I hear index universal life is a hot topic, I feel like right now. So could you explain, there may be some advisors out there that can't offer index universal life that may even have questions about it. And then from a consumer standpoint, what are you typically going to recommend, Tom? Whole life or IULs?
I really let the advisor do that just because I get hired by all companies. Some companies just do whole life. Some companies just do IUL. Some companies do VUL. And I was the VUL, variable life product manager at MetLife for a while. So like I just, I own universal life policies. I own whole life policies. So I'm not talking about both sides. Mom, I own both of them, but I put the majority of my personal wealth into whole life. Now, IUL can do better than whole life. It can do better. It's not saying it will do better. It may do better. Variable life is probably has been the best policy ever because the stock market's gone way up, and anybody who stayed in their variable life policy is fine. The problem with variable life is it goes like this, and it's hard to keep people in there when the market's way down, and so then they get out of it. But if people would have kept it for the whole time and kept putting premiums in, variable life would have been the best of all. Okay, but I have the majority of my wealth in whole life. I know some really super smart people that have the majority of their wealth in IUL, and that's fine. I let people pick which way. I will say this: whole life has proven itself with the test of time. It's been through great depressions, it's been through wars, it's been through everything. And universal life was big when interest rates were 17% and everybody bought UL, and then VUL was great when the stock market was going in 2000s and the internet boom and everything. And then after the crash, IUL did well because you don't lose money in IUL. It can only go up, it can't go down other than fees and charges or whatever. And so it depends on which policy the client wants, right? I mean, I would explain each one of them to the client and let the client say, which one do you think is best for you? Universal life is more flexible. Whole life is more reliable, dependable, things like that. So it just depends.
That's really good. All right. No, that's great.
So when you talk about, that sounds like being built for speed or being built for comfort. Those two different policies, like one steady and reliable. So I want to touch a little bit on Bitcoin, crypto, kind of what your thoughts are with what's happening in that market.
What was funny is when I first even commented on Bitcoin, I got about 100 emails saying I've been hacked because I said I find it appropriate to put 1% of your portfolio into crypto. All right. Now, 1%, not 10%, not 30%, not 100%, 1%. And the whole reason I said that was I was the biggest Bitcoin non-believer of the world. Okay. I mean, it's just, what is it? It's nothing. It's, it's the greater fool theory. You're going to pay something. You hope somebody dumber than you pays more. But I listened to this guy on CNBC about, 3 years ago now, and he made a legitimate, realistic case that Bitcoin could hit $1 million someday. And he said, well, we are advising, and we advise billionaires and multimillionaires. He said, what we're advising is they put 1% in their portfolio, because if you lose 1%, it's not going to wreck your life. My portfolio goes up or down more than 1% almost every day. So if I lost 1%, I wouldn't even know it, right? But if it goes to $1 million of Bitcoin, guess what? I will be very happy that I have some of those Bitcoins. So that's all I'm saying. Just have a little bit of exposure, put your toe in the water. And just in the last week or so, Bitcoin went up back over 30,000, and, it was as high as 75,000. I'm not looking to cash in anytime soon, but I just think with all this stuff going on in the world and the unsettling things, that people are going to stop trusting governments as much, and they're going to want to have some freedom to. And, you look at places like Brazil or Venezuela or Argentina, where they might have 30, 40, 50. Turkey has like 40% inflation or 70%. Why would they not want to put their money someplace that doesn't fall in value every day? So I think there's a case for it out there, and I mean, I know all the bad people use it, the drug dealers and all those people, and, money laundering, but they'll do that with cash or euros or anything. So bad people always find bad things to do.
That's right. That's right. I am a crypto believer, so we got a little bit more than 1%, but just this past week, how many institutions are filing for Bitcoin ETFs and things like
BlackRock,
that?
And all the big boys are doing it.
Yeah. So it'll be regulated, but this is this is good. So
So I want to jump to your book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because when I was reading kind of the overview of it, I immediately started thinking of, as a parent, using it as a tool to educate like the next generation. So talk to us a little bit about, you've kind of gone into like the discipline, the delayed gratification. Who is this book for?
This book is really for Generation X, Y, Z, and millennials. Okay, so probably anybody under 50. This book is mainly for people under the age of 50, and it's just simple principles. And I'll give you a real world example how I did this with my number 2 boy, Sean. He was applying for a job at Copperwind. It's a tennis resort in Fountain Hills. And he said, Dad, I'm never going to do this job. I'm only 17. They got people who work for Troon and they work for Desert Mountain. They got experience. They got a resume. I said, Sean, you go in there and tell them that your dad is a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Army. He's been tough on you every single day of your life. And he taught you the secret to success, that if you hire me, I will come to work early, I will stay late, and I will always do more than what you pay me to do. The guy closed up his book. He said, you're hired. He didn't even interview the other people. And you've hired people. Both of you have hired people. What if you had an employee come to you and say, I really want this job really bad. And if you hire me, I'm going to come to work early. I'm going to stay late. And I'm always going to do more than you ever give me to do. What would you do? You
hired.
would. Yeah. How many of those do you hear? You don't hear that. But see, when I was growing up, that's the way we were taught. Baby boomers were taught that when we were children. I don't think this generation is taught that, but I teach my children that. And so there are some things in here that would be very good for parents to really discuss with their children. You know, I show opportunity costs and just buying a used vehicle versus a brand new vehicle, how that can result in millions of dollars, just that one decision. If you just do that 2 or 3 times in your life, you can have $1 million. Just go used 2 or 3 times. You know, I go used almost all the time, but I mean, I buy nice cars. They have 13,000 miles on them, but I get them for half price. And just the savings of that is amazing. And you'll see that in the book. It's really a practical, down to earth book. And I show people how to make more money too. They got to find their ikigai, but I'll leave that to the book.
Now, if someone wanted the book, where can they go and get that, Tom?
Oh, it'll be available on Amazon, and it'll be available at tomhegna.com. And yeah.
Okay. And look, if you've never read any of Tom's books, Paychecks and Playchecks, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, they are fantastic books. I think you've written a total of 5 so far. So
now 6 with this one, and then I'll have a 7th one maybe coming out at the end of the year that's tied in with this one. It's one I'm working with Jeremiah Demaray on. He's a marketing guy.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of yours. I've been following you for a long time. Both those books were staples when I was a risk advisor and in the industry. So,
and I think they're good books to share with your customers, not just for the advisor, but you're talking about third-party validation. I think this is another way to kind of give living, breathing proof of, you know, you don't have to listen to me as the advisor. You can do whatever you want, but there are other people who are speaking the exact same philosophy.
Yeah. And advisors don't even have to give the book. Just lend it out and then get it back. That's the reason to go back and get it. Say, look, I got a signed copy here from Tom or whatever. I'll lend it to you. Please read it and I'll pick it up in 2 weeks. And now you got something to talk about. And so those books have sold hundreds of millions of dollars of annuities. You don't know how many emails, texts I get that say, Tom, I hand out your book. The guy comes and writes a check for 1.2 million. I've been talking to him for 6 years. And he said, no. He reads your book. He comes right in. That's happened thousands of times. So, you know, I mean, because it's based in math and science. See, I'm not making this stuff up. I back everything up with the research of the top PhDs in the world. And I think that's what's different, is that I try to keep my opinions as much as I can out of my material and keep the facts in there.
No, I love that. So, Tom, I want to kind of end the conversation today because we've talked a lot about what people can do to build wealth. I'd like to talk about what you're also an expert in. All right, it's not about your net worth. It's about your net pay, all right? In retirement, that guaranteed income. And so I'd love to talk about the importance of the annuities, of the life insurance. Like what should advisors and how should advisors be talking to their customers, and where are many missing the boat and not talking to their customers about the annuity products?
So I recently posted, and people can go look at my post. There are 3 simple reasons why almost every retiree should have an annuity in their portfolio. Number 1, adding an annuity improves portfolio performance. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. It's because the way the annuity functions, the income annuity functions, it functions like a AAA rated bond because it's guaranteed. As long as you're breathing, that check is coming. But it's got a CCC rated yield because the payout rate is much higher than what you're going to get from a bond or a money market fund or something with 0 standard deviation. What that means is when interest rates go up, the annuity does not go down. Okay, when the interest rates go up, the annuity stays the same or goes up. And so number 1, it will improve your portfolio. performance. Number two, you're likely to be happier in retirement. The Wall Street Journal said the secret to a happier retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. Time magazine said lifetime income stream key to retirement happiness. And so there's all this evidence that shows happiness in retirement is tied almost 100% to guaranteed lifetime income, not assets. The most miserable people in retirement are people with assets because they don't dare touch their money. Oh, the market might go down. Oh, I could live too long. Oh, interest rates are low. Oh, Bitcoin crashed. They just live this just in case retirement. I used to say, wait a minute. You told me when you're retired, you're going to join the country club. You're going to buy a boat. You're going to see the world. You're living this just in case they don't touch their money. Then what happens? They die. Money goes to kids. What do the kids do with it? They join the country club. They buy a new boat. They see the world. So you're going to be happier. And then the third thing is the evidence shows you're likely to live longer as well. And there was a University of Chicago study that compared people who bought income annuities versus people who didn't. They found that the people who bought the income annuities lived longer. Freakonomics put it out on a podcast on how to live longer, get an annuity, because it's that payout that people are anticipating, that payout rate, and it causes them to live longer. Patrick Tricker wrote an entire article in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals that showed that a 65-year-old male in America who buys a lifetime income annuity can expect to live about 20% longer than a 65-year-old male who does not. And it's because they don't have the stress levels. They're not worried. The market crashes. They're playing another round of golf with their buddies. And because they're being paid to live, guess what? Many of them choose to live differently. They watch what they eat. They exercise. They call the doctor when not feeling well. So if you can improve your portfolio performance, be happier, and live longer, why would you want to do that? And why would you not want to share that with your clients and at least give them the chance to be happy and live longer?
It all makes sense to me because you're not eliminating stress, but you are lowering financial stress.
Yeah. And when you have some guarantees, you can actually take a little more risk with some of the other money because you don't have to sell to get money out to buy food this month because you got these checks coming in, and that you live on the paychecks, and then you can play with your playchecks. And that's what the whole first book I wrote, Paychecks and Playchecks, was all about.
That's right. I love it. Well, Tom, thank you again for today. If someone wanted to reach out, they wanted to follow you, they wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so tomhegna.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I have about 6 or 7 free webinars. Don't even need a credit card if you go to tomhegna.com/webinars. And that's also where you get the best deals on any of my products. If you want books or audiobooks or any of that stuff, watch those webinars first. You'll get the best deals.
All right.
Tom, thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, Tom, thank you so much. For those of you listening, thank you so much. As always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. We appreciate you spending time with us today. Go out and make it great. Tom, thanks again.